This is where I was born and raised, 30 minutes from Quebec City on a dairy farm. I was lucky enough when I grew up to be very close to land, forests, agricultural field. I was lucky also that my parents taught me at a very young age that if you want the land to remain productive, you need to take care of it. When I was 20 years old, I decided to move to West Canada to learn English. I lived 2 years in Alberta. I work in the oil sands. I've seen the impact that mining and the oil and gas extraction can have on land. After my bachelor degree at UBC in Vancouver in forest sciences, specialization in international forestry, I lived in 2 different Latin American countries. Few months in Ecuador in families to learn Spanish, but also in Costa Rica for over a year to learn more about tropical ecosystem. And then I gained some experience in Africa, in South Africa, Madagascar, also Zambia and DRC. I've seen the impact that exploitation of natural resources has on land when it's not done sustainably. Right now, there are more than 2 billion hectares of degraded land in the world. It's 2 times the size of China. It's as big as Latin America as a whole. It has huge impact on our society, starting when we look at the impact on climate. 25% of all global GHG emissions come from deforestation, land degradation, and land use change. So it's 2 times more than transport. So it has huge impact on the climate crisis. It also causes problem of biodiversity loss and also problem of water, because when you are in this degraded landscape, when you get to drought season, there's no water left. It also has some impact on people. Right now, over 40% of all the world's poorest population live in degraded landscape. It's more than 2.2 billion people in the world that are negatively affected by land degradation. It causes problem of water shortage, food shortage, but also health problems. And also has huge impact on the economy. Right now, experts estimate that we lose about $10 trillion per year to the global economy because these land used to produce goods and services that have a value, that are commercially valuable, and they don't produce it anymore. So because the land has lost its productivity. And when we look at the challenge ahead, right now we are 7.8 billion people in the world. By 2050, we're going to be close to 10 billion people. We're going to need to increase our food production by 70% to be able to feed this growing population. We're also going to need 3 times more wood to supply demands by the end of century. And also when we look to the transition to a more sustainable transition to a low carbon economy, so using more renewable energy, we need 3 times more iron, 5 times more copper, and more than 10 times more rare earth to produce the same amount of energy compared to fossil fuels. So there's going to be a lot of challenge, a lot of pressure on the land with this growing population and this transition toward a low carbon economy. When we look at everything we create, we build, we use, it's all made of natural resources. Even everything you buy today is directly or indirectly related to the use of natural resources. The whole economy runs around natural resources. It's very important to use these, to exploit and use these natural resources, but it's even more important to do it sustainably. Right now, we use about 1.75 more natural resources than that nature can regenerate in 1 year. And this is mainly because we don't manage sustainably our land. When we look at the Paris Agreement, if we want to keep the temperature increase no more than 1.5 degrees, we need to restore and reforest about 20 million hectares per year until 2030 to be able to reach this goal. More than 1/3 of all Paris Agreement objectives to fight climate change could be reached by 2030 by large-scale reforestation activities. If we restore 1 billion hectares of land, which is half of the potential in the world, we could sequester over 200 billion tons of carbon. It's 2/3 of all global emissions since the Industrial Revolution. So nature, natural capital have a very important role to play to be able to fight climate change. So right now what we need is a new green revolution. And the first good news that we have is that since the Paris Agreement, countries have pledged to restore and reforest over 250 million hectares by 2030. So it's bigger than Argentina. So they are creating a market for the restoration. They are looking for solutions. But also, the second good news is that multinationals that have an impact on deforestation, on degradation, on their supply chain, like Nestle or Mars, or all these companies, 70% of these companies have pledged to reduce or eliminate all products from their supply chain that cause deforestation. So they are looking for products that have a positive impact on the environment. So it brings a new opportunity to produce deforestation-free products on degraded land, to return this land back into production and offer these products on the market. The third good news is that every dollar invested in land restoration generates about $7 to $30 in economic returns. So the return on investment when you invest in land restoration is huge. So it brings an opportunity to create an economy around restoration where everybody benefits from it, where it attracts private investment, so we can mobilize billions of dollars to do restoration, to put this land back into production. But to be sustainable and durable, to have positive and lasting impact of the restoration work that we do, it needs to benefit everybody. So, and starting with people, with communities that are affected by degraded lands. So they need to be involved, they need to profit from it. But also investors, it needs to be attractive to investors, reduce the risk and increase the return on investment of these projects. So investor can invest in this project and be profitable. But also it needs to be profitable for private companies that bring these technologies, that bring this solution to be able to do these activities at very large scale. And also it needs to be beneficial to government and NGOs. Everybody needs to benefit from it. 3 years ago, we started to develop a new business model for large-scale forest landscape restoration activities with a technological package with a lot of high technologies. And to bring these solutions to the government, to these people, these communities, and companies that are looking for solutions. When we look at the impact of restoration work, you cannot have a project on Earth right now that could have the biggest impact, more impact on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals than restoring, returning into production, and reforesting degraded lands. When we look at it, no poverty, the first one. We can bring millions of people out of poverty by creating new economic opportunities in the landscape. When you look at zero hunger, when we increase the productivities of these lands, you know, your foods become better quality, with better quality, but also more nutritious. So it's very good for the people. But also good health. When you increase the resilience of the landscape, we reduce the negative impact that the natural disaster has on communities. But also, when people are better fed and also that they are richer, they're also healthier, usually. Quality education. In all projects that we do, training and capacity building is very important to make sure that these lands are going to be sustainably managed, it's going to be durable. So you bring a lot of opportunities to train these landholders, these communities, for better management. Gender equality, so you can include women empowerment and also indigenous community empowerment into this project because they have a very important role in the sustainable management of these lands. Clean water. Forest is a natural filter that is very important for water. It plays a role in water retention, but also water quality. And when you get to drought season, when forest is there, it's also increased the availability of water in the landscape. So it becomes very important for adaptation. Clean energy. On this degraded land, we can produce energy wood and energy crops so that we will promote a more sustainable use of bioenergy in the world right now to produce biofuel or electricity. We can create thousands of jobs with creating this new economy around restoration. Innovation, this is very important to bring new technologies. That's what we are doing right now in the private sector, is that we are bringing these high technologies that increase by 2 to 3 times the productivity of the land. So it becomes more attractive to investors and also more profitable for the landowners. Reduce inequality. You need to work directly with the community. Some people buy lands. You don't want to do that. You want to sign contracts. That's what we do with our project. We sign contracts directly with the landholders, and so they benefit from it. And usually these people are the ones that are the poorest in this rural region, because they are living in degraded landscape and everything. So by making sure they benefit from it, you reduce this inequality. Sustainable cities. When you increase the resilience of a landscape, you also increase the sustainable development of these cities and communities, because they are less affected by storms, by droughts, and all this kind of natural disaster. Responsible consumption, so we can produce deforestation-free food products, forest products, so you have a better production of these commodities. Climate change, we sequester millions of tons of carbon in the atmosphere, so we play a very important role to fight climate change. We can restore wetlands, protect the water streams for life below water, create new forests and agroforests in the landscape. And also we can reduce migration, the risk of migration caused by climate change, because if you increase the resilience and the ecosystem are more resilient, so you adapt more to climate change, you reduce the risk for natural disaster. So people will be more interested to stay in these places that are highly affected by climate change and degradation. And also by working in the landscape, you could also promote stronger institutions, the development of stronger institutions, and that favors sustainable development at the landscape level. And the last but not the least, to be successful in landscape restoration, partnership is very important. We all need to work together. Government, NGOs, private sector, communities, all together to bring this economy around restoration. So the last word I have to say is that right now there's a lot of companies that are creating this new business model, innovative business model that brings solution for the restoration and create an economy around restoration. And now for me it's time to hack. And we all need to work together to create this new green revolution for better sustainable development of our society, but also future generation. So thank you very much.